Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. This presentation is being done in partial fulfillment of the course Advanced Topics in Special Education. I am Winward Dale, and I will be presenting on the topic Positive Communication with Stakeholders. Effective communication in special education. Effective communication is a skill that all educators should cultivate because it is the bridge between school and home. The educator is responsible for communicating important information to all stakeholders whose vested interest is in the child's welfare. Effective communication also benefits all stakeholders because it shows the educator's efforts and alters attitudes. Effective communication encourages thinking outside the box, as the more stakeholders are involved in any situation, the more solutions are brainstormed. A significant advantage of effective communication is the ability it gives the educator to diminish stereotypes because effective communication allows the stakeholders to feel a part of the process regarding their students. The communication process involves understanding and conveying critical information wherein listening plays a vital role. Effective communication also involves problem solving, preparation, introspection, and analysis, which requires putting into practice and also patience to know and understand when is the right time to deliver certain communications. Effective communication strategy number one. Create an open communication channel from the moment the child enters the school. Creating an open communication channel gives all stakeholders involved the alertness needed regarding a special needs child. At registration and introduction, prepare a blue card that will require all communication mediums with the school and home. This may include telephone numbers, email addresses, a list of all individuals who may collect the student from the school in an emergency. Other information required on the blue card includes any medical emergency information that the school must be aware of in the event the child has an episode while at school. Also, any allergies or medication the child is currently taking. Some of this information is personal but necessary to prevent a bad situation from becoming worse where it could be avoided. For example, a child suffers a seizure at school. The first item to reach for will be the blue card, which will contain all stakeholders to contact and what medical procedures should be followed. Effective communication strategy number two. Allowing all stakeholders to be integral members of the child's success team. Stakeholders like to know that their input is valued and sought after by the child's school. When teachers recognizes the hard work that a child's parent does, it gives them that extra push that they need to be even more attentive to the child's needs. The teacher does this by constantly communicating with all stakeholders, updating them on the child's progress. Regular communication between school and home assisted parents in developing an awareness of what they could do to help their children. Cars- Carson et al. 2020. For example, parents should be invited into school as regularly as possible to conference with their child's teacher. This line of communication will allow the teacher to demonstrate to the parent how they help the child while they are outside of the classroom setting. Effective communication strategy number 3. Classroom teachers bridge the gap between administrators and other stakeholders. The classroom teacher plays a critical role in maintaining a positive communication between the school and home. This is due to the relationship between the classroom teacher and administrators and the classroom teacher and other stakeholders. In times of crisis, accurate information is vital and must be on time and delivered in a manner that both parties understand clearly, and there must be no ambiguity. As the classroom teacher receives communication from administrators, it is passed on to other stakeholders. The classroom teacher provides this information through multiple mediums such as email, information communication notebooks, phone calls, or text messages. However, bridging the gap between school administrators and stakeholders at home requires patience, knowledge, understanding, and a solid relationship between both entities. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the classroom teacher's role became even more critical in providing information between stakeholders and administrators. Such information included students' safety, providing electronic devices, and attendance records. Effective communication strategy number 4. In preparing for an IEP meeting, the classroom teacher acts as the case manager. For an IEP meeting to be successful, the classroom teacher has the responsibility to inform all stakeholders of the meeting ahead of time in order to update the IEP with the student's progress. For this to happen, the classroom teacher acts as the case manager in opening the IEP in the system and informing all service providers of necessary updates regarding the student's progress. The special education teacher leads the meeting and gives other stakeholders time to update the team of the student's progress. Additionally, the entire team discuss a way forward concerning the child's goals within the upcoming school year. For example, during a recent IEP meeting chaired by a special education teacher, the entire meeting was held on Zoom, but the teacher was responsible for getting the entire team and parents together for the meeting to take place. This is how effective communication helps children's education and keeps stakeholders updated. Now we will continue the presentation and look at some best practice to overcome communication barriers. Number 1, being an effective listener. In communicating with stakeholders, the educator is tasked with being an effective listener, as this will help reduce the likelihood of misunderstandings and misinterpretations. Being an effective listener requires the educator to take notes and sometimes repeat what was communicated to ensure that what was said is understood. Additionally, the educator must be aware of different softwares that can assist in communicating with stakeholders as communication technologies such as apps become more readily available and easy to access. Su et al. 2021 stated that the CMS app proved to be an effective software to update parents of students' activities daily and how they are meeting developmental needs. Effective listening also allows the educator to demonstrate to stakeholders that they take their children's education seriously. For example, a teacher who constantly updates parents on their children's progress and allows them to offer their input regarding the child's education will get support from stakeholders when it is needed. Best practice to overcome communication barriers. Number two, be empathetic when having difficult conversations. The educator is responsible for the welfare of all students assigned to their care, and there will come a time when difficult conversations must be had regarding a child's well-being. Being empathetic is a characteristic that helps the educator to have conversations with stakeholders that will allow them to understand that they can trust them and to have difficult conversations to provide outcomes that will be in the best interest of all stakeholders. In being empathetic, the educator has the opportunity to offer training, counseling, and referral services. A referral will include services outside the school system that parents and other stakeholders may obtain the right service needed to meet the child's needs. Empathy improves one ethical appreciation of an ethical situation. Carterbuck et al. 2019. For example, a child comes to school hungry and unkempt. The teacher speaks to the parents and finds out if they need any assistance applying for food stamps and refer them to public assistance. Best practice to overcome communication barriers. Number three, be specific. Do not use generalizations and stereotypes. Stakeholders like to know that teachers speak to them directly and with respect. When the educator shows respect to all stakeholders, communication becomes effortless. When speaking to stakeholders, make sure that the conversation is clear and stakeholders do not misunderstand what is said. Avoid using generalization words and refer to stakeholders and students by their names. This helps the stakeholders to understand that the educator is speaking directly to them and that the message being conveyed is specifically for them. Avoiding stereotypes helps the educator speak directly to the stakeholder in clear, unambiguous terms and words they can understand easily. For example, when taking part in the parent-teacher conference, do not compare students when talking to their parents. Talk to the parents about their children and what progress they are making. Best practice to overcome communication barriers. Number 4, analyze individual perceptions and change them if necessary. The educator must be an individual who thinks critically and analyze their thought process and how this will help stakeholders see to the needs of students. Analyzing one's thought process will help reduce incorrect perceptions and also help to lead the educator to the correct information that stakeholders need. Do not hold a preconceived perception of stakeholders, but always approach every situation with respect and have the child's best interest at the forefront at all times. Avoid being judgmental by showing care and concern in every matter. How educators convey a message to stakeholders, whether in writing or verbally, can show if they care about a matter or are just doing a job. For example, when a child does something at school and is not very pleasant, refrain from casting aspersions about the child's background or speaking in a negative tone. In conclusion, effective communication can be the one aspect of being an educator that motivates stakeholders to go that extra mile for a special needs student. Effective communication educates, informs, enlightens, encourages, and most importantly, motivates stakeholders. Many situations will arise that require the educator to inform the stakeholders that may be difficult conversation, but the teacher will be able to overcome those challenges with tact and discretion. The educator plays a vital role in keeping administrators and other stakeholders connected by keeping channels of communication open. Additionally, the educator timely informs all stakeholders regarding student progress in a friendly but firm manner and takes pride in the work they do to help each student reach their goals. Barriers to effective communication will arise, but the consummate professional, will not allow personal biases to interfere with professional judgment. Being professional in every situation is the key to effective communication, and that is what every educator should strive to achieve.